Well, hello there, and welcome to day 57 of A Film a Day with me, Jordan Woodley. Today covering the documentary Glitch in the Matrix. So, um, I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood for this, because you would think that something like this would be exactly for me. It's a documentary that examines the simulation theory. That is to say, that in some capacity or another, our lives as we experience them are a simulation, whether we ourselves are real but living in a simulation like in the Matrix, or that the whole world, including us, is a simulation, but that's so perfect that we just don't know that we are a simulation. And I don't know if it was just because I've gone through some incredibly intense films this week that really were quite heavy and complex, and I just finished watching Homeland Series 8, which is currently streaming on Netflix, and whether I was full of the questions about what the political and social ramifications of America and Pakistan going to war would look like. But this strange, surrealist film just wasn't doing it for me in the same way that The Room 237 was, which is, of course, by the same documentarian. You see, it should appeal to me as someone who is a lover of philosophy. It's a really strange documentary that uses a visual style that's supposed to sort of put you off your base a bit, where as you're being given voiceover, you're seeing digital recreations and CG landscapes, and then it cuts to people being interviewed, but as you're seeing them, it's some kind of CG representation of them, or like a strange mutation of what that person looks like, and so it's very visually off-putting, intentionally so, to make you feel that sense of discomfort and alienation. And like 237, it starts simply in terms of it goes, look, the principle is simple. The simulation theory works on this philosophical basis. These are the people that either have studied the theory or people who actually believe the theory themselves, and starts to sort of break it down, and then it expands into a richer, more surrealist version of that, where we really get into the weeds about what that means. And then it gets to a point where it goes to an incredibly dark place. And I must say, this is the part of the film that really interested me the most, where it looks at people who genuinely have been affected by the idea that they are not living life correctly. Either they're in a simulation or they are a simulation, and therefore what it does to them. I suppose there are two basic principles in this. The first one, that you can strip everything down. The basic principles of philosophy are that everything we understand can be stripped down and deconstructed to the point where, as Descartes would have it, I think, therefore I am, therefore you know that you exist, but everything beyond that could be a construction or a misunderstanding. So, and if you get any thought, any philosopher of thought can really sort of stretch their legs with that. But then the second principle, which is the human mind is a very delicate thing, and some people thrive on the ideas of exploring ways to interpret and reinterpret how we perceive the world, our understandings of the world. but a lot of people need a foundation to sort of hang their hat on, otherwise it can really affect someone's mental health. The documentary really does a strange thing where a lot of the people interviewed, if they're not scholars, they are people who are just really fascinated by this in one capacity or another, but you can tell there is something something wrong in their life in some way. Either they have an incredibly delicate mental health, they suffer from a psychosis, or they demonstrate that they've had a troubling background of some kind. And so therefore you sort of step outside of the confines of the documentary and question, well, you know, to sort of examine these ideas, you already kind of have to be an outsider, someone who doesn't feel part of society in one way or another. And so therefore, is it only the people who really feel like outsiders to their community notice these kind of strange things? Or is it that people with mental health problems or really who are unhappy with their lives in some way are trying to find an escape? And the film on some level does try to walk that line between genuinely exploring the philosophical principle and demonstrating the fragility of people who have clung on to this idea in the same way that, you know, like with Room 237, there's that, you know, sense that, you know, some people are genuinely trying to reinterpret the film and recontextualize it and read deeper meanings, and others are using it to try to justify their own ideas and the conspiracies there that lay within. Like I said, it should really appeal to me as sort of a, you know, to sort of delve into my background. I studied philosophy at A-level and then at degree level for a time. And these sort of thought exercises I find quite interesting. The ideas of, okay, so the film begins, you could say, with the ideas of Philip K. Dick. And Philip K. Dick really was the one who posed the modern interpretation of the simulation theory, because in his science fiction, you know, he talks about AI and simulated reality, and then he in himself then gives lectures exploring the idea that, oh, these came to me, I've had dreams and experiences in my life that make me think that possibly this reality isn't real. He's quite an eccentric guy, and the idea is that he believes there is an alternative experience of life, and that might be as real as this. And you can sort of delve into that in a multitude of ways, really. And then it jumps to the actual Matrix itself, and the what you might call the mainstreaming of the idea that, oh, maybe we're not living in reality. Of course, then it throws back to ancient philosophies, like, I mean, this goes all the way back to Plato's cave, and the idea that our experiences are shadows of on the wall of a cave, or Descartes with the philosophy of the evil demon, that our experiences could just simply be an evil demon tricking us into thinking that 1 + 1 = 2 when 1 + 1 = 3, or more contemporaneously the idea of the brain in the vat, and that our experiences of life are simply a brain that are being stimulated into thinking we're experiencing life. So this is just a restructuring or reinterpretation of an incredibly old idea, which is life that we know it might not be what we think it is. And that is interesting to some degree. As I say, I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood. I found that the film doesn't feel like it's made for the everyday person. It feels like it's made for someone like me who loves that kind of thing. But even then, it pushes to the more, I don't know, weird end, sort of almost art housey kind of style. And I can see a lot of people just not clicking with it. And I feel like it's an interesting idea that people will be turned off with from the off anyway. And I think making it or presenting it in a weird package is just going to turn people away even more, which I think is a shame, because I do, like I said, I was really drawn to the idea of the documentary. It just, I don't know, it just didn't click quite as I would have wanted it to. As I say, a lot of interesting ideas. I do think it is worth a watch. I do think Room 237 is a lot better and engaged me a lot more, but I don't know, I hope to find more documentaries that are these sort of thought exercise styles, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at Jordan_Woodley. Please like the video, share and subscribe, and I will catch you again tomorrow. Take care.